G'day guys, this is Rob from Troutlore.com.au, Australia's fly tying specialist store. Today we're tying this Scudback Caddis Grub, a cool little pattern that is fairly lightweight, great for fishing backwaters and slower moving streams throughout the summer, but one you can fish as a point fly off something heavier in the deeper, faster water too. So let's get started. We are coming in with a Goulburn steel 3223 grub hook in a size 12. For those of you who don't know of the Goulburn steel hooks, they're a brand new hook business coming out of the Goulburn Valley here in Victoria. I have some sample hooks at the moment. Don't get too excited if you're watching this in the first week of the video being online. They're not available yet. We will be getting stock in about a week's time, and they will be available through the Troutlore fly tying store and other stores as well. But for now, I'm working with the samples that I've been given, and I'm enjoying tying with these. So let's get started. And we're going to use some white 140 Denier thread, starting about 1/8 of an inch behind the hook eye, and just running that most of the way down the bend of the hook, basically level on a diagonal with the hook point. We're using the white so that the body color stands out more, and we'll change it to black thread once we get up to the top. Then we're using some Veniard fine wire in black. We're just going to capture that at the rear and bind that up the hook. Take that little tag end with our wire cutters in the scissors, trim that off. Don't use the scissor blade themselves. And then we bring our thread back down to the base where that wire is. Now, being a Scudback caddis, we are obviously using Scudback material. We're doing two different colors. Here, the first one is the clear. So we're going to start with the clear, and we're just going to trim out a triangle on the end there, just for a little bit of a point. Capture that with the thread at the very base and slide it down so we've got that in place, and then we'll bring our thread about 1/3 of the way up the hook shank. Then for the body, we're using the FTD Arctic Snow Dubbing in that olive color. That's why we're using the white thread as an under thread, so that way this olive dubbing really stands out as much as possible. If we use the black thread that we're going to end up on, would have dulled out the body color. So this is going to keep that green as bright as we can. With that dubbing noodle, we just start running it down to meet the Scudback where it's tied in, just keeping it nice fine noodle. And then once we get to that point, we'll then start wrapping up. I'm going to run up 2/3 of the hook shank, maybe 3/4, and then we're going to put a little bit more dubbing on there and just even out that taper back and forth down the length of the hook. So in we come with more dubbing, not too much, and we can always add more, you can't take it away. And then I just start working down and back up just to fill out that taper, and then trim off any of those flyaways on the top. We finish with our hook up there at the bare hook shank on the top. Then we're going to pull that Scudback forward, and in a bit of a dance between hands, moving from one to the other. Go a couple of wraps with our bobbin over that, and then come up on top and just make sure that that's evenly sitting on the top and not skewed to one side or the other. And we'll switch hands with the bobbin, pull that back, one wrap around the hook shank to lock it, another wrap on that scud back, that's got it nice and tight, one more wrap on the hook shank, and we can stretch that up and trim it clean. Then we're going to take the wire and start wrapping that in fairly open spirals up the body, just to put some segmentation in there. Just evenly space that out until we get up to the top, and then capture that with our thread, wrapping around the wire. That'll allow us to helicopter that wire off. There we go. Once that's done, just a quick whip finish, only a couple of turns, just to lock that white thread off and trim that nice and close. We'll swap out to our bigger hair scissors and just trim out any of those dubbing fibres that are sticking up or out to the side that are going to get caught. So we've got a nice clean top, and preen any other ones down like so. And then we're coming in with the Upavon UV resin in the crystal coat. We're going to coat that scud back, get a nice glossy top to that fly. So a couple of drops, about all we need, maybe a third drop. There we go. Put the lid on the bottle before we do anything else so we don't forget. And take our bodkin, and we're just going to work that across the scud back material. Before we go down to the base, we'll turn it upside down so it doesn't all run down. Then we can just evenly work that back up. And leave that sit upside down for a moment so that it all settles. And then with the torch, bang. Doesn't take long to cure this stuff. We'll come over the top, we'll give it a second curing. That's nice and hard. Yep, that's not going anywhere. Right, now we're going to do the head of the fly, so we're going to change over and come in with black thread. We just start behind the hook eye, bring that back so it's in place. A couple of extra wraps to make sure it's not going anywhere. And then out comes the black scud back. Again, we're just going to trim a little triangle in the tip of this for a tie-in point, and laying that over the top, we will capture it with our thread and then wrap back until we've gone about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more, probably a little bit more further back down the body, in line, as you can see with my thread where it hangs, in line with the hook point, and then lock that into place. And to create the bulk in the head and some legs, we're going to use some chuck and duck hare and squirrel dubbing in the black. So a bit more dubbing wax on the thread there. And again, we're just going to use the smallest amount, start that off, and then create a nice long noodle. We'll keep adding it until there's enough on there. We don't need to bulk it too heavily. A little bit of this stuff goes a long way. Wrap right back into where that scud back starts, and then finish up at the eye of the hook Then we'll fold our Scud back over, capture it with 2 wraps, and then just check that everything's level and centered. Pull up on those wraps, pull it back, a wrap behind, a wrap in front, and we can really stretch that out to trim it off. And come in with our whip finisher and just a 3 or 4 turn whip finish in there. Trim that out. Once that's done, we will come back with the Upavon resin, clean out any flyaways in there, and then pop a drop of the resin on top of the head. Out comes the bodkin again, and we're just going to smooth that out. There we go. Upside down she goes to let it all run down and even out, and then on goes the torch. Doesn't take long. This stuff dries faster than any of the other resins we've been using. It dries lovely and hard and glossy, which is exactly what you want in UV resin. Once that's done, I'm just going to come in and trim out any random fibers that have gotten caught in the resin, and then take our dubbing brush and give that black dubbing a good old scrub to work some fibers out. And then we can preen them down, get in there a little bit more. And that gives us a nice head to that fly. So there you have it. Quite a simple little result, but a couple of steps to go through to get there. Great little fly, works a treat on the bigger rivers where you got fish cruising backwaters. Same for fishing lakes when caddis are about. Fish slowly and through the depths on a very slow retrieve. This is going to get eaten more often than you think. And of course, as a trailing fly on a heavier rig down deep in the faster water, this is one they can't say no to. So thanks for watching as always. For those of you looking for these hooks, they will be available at the start of October from the Troutlore Flytying store and any other good fly shop around Australia. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, follow our channel, and as always, happy tying.